Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Disco Elysium. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you're supposed to join me today as we talk to Kunese.
I'll die before I squeal, pig.
She's having none of it. Yeah, on account of, the conversation we had with Kuno last episode. Sorry, didn't mean to smell the rancid smell again. We are victorious. We figured that the locusts disappeared due to Kuno going there and getting the locusts to make his own city in his shack, because he likes that. That's his creative outlet there. And so we have bad news. Let's deliver the bad news.
Hello, officer. I think I almost have it. A new trap design, that is. I know you're skeptical, but I have a good feeling about this.
I had a chat with this kid, Kuno. He promised to stop stealing the locusts. The cryptozoologist purses his lips. So it was just a child. He looks crestfallen. Thank you for telling us, sweetie, says his wife. She turns to smile gently up at her husband. This is good news, right? It means we can try again. She acts chipper, says our drama, but something's changed in her tone, a hidden worry. Something is secretly gnawing at her confidence. It's not this Kuno kid or the missing locusts, it's something else. Yes, you're right. We just need to restock the empty trap. Then we'll need to inspect the traps one more time, and then maybe we can. The aging cryptozoologist breaks into a hideous coughing fit. She looks at him with tender concern. Darling, I told you to take it easy. You're getting sick. Maybe it's time to go home? You're right. He breathes carefully, not to start coughing again. We can come back next season, when it's warmer. So we can refuse or accept. What exactly am I accepting? Let's see. It's not worth risking your health. You should call it a day and go home. So I refuse. I think it's a quest that we're getting, which is the restocking the traps. Yeah, it's not worth risking your health. You should call it a day and go home. He's right, dear Morel. Come now, we've waited so long. What's one more season? Self-deceit, sire, says our drama. You're right, dear. We'll get our shot yet, I'm sure of it. This place is much better for field work in summer, believe me, says Kim. Is that a pang of sadness, Lieutenant? Our empathy notes. But our esprit de corps didn't actually say anything. Thank you, dear. She bows to the lieutenant, then turns to you. And you, Detective Fox. A sad smile. You've been great company to an old lady and her stubborn husband. You're right, Lena. The RCM is worth their salt. More so than they say on the radio. Goodbye, Lena. Goodbye, she smiles, and they leave. 2 old cryptozoologists and 1 gas-powered wheelchair. I did not realize it was gas-powered. It sounded definitely not gas-powered. It absolutely did not sound gas-powered. It sounded like squeaky or maybe, I don't know, air pressure or something. Anyway, that's that. We are victorious in another thing. Again, lovely. Okay, well, ask gevraagd about a cell and the drug lab. Now we can do that. I can't check on Suna. Maybe I'll do that later in the day. Return to Fell Mural and consult the wind if you don't know what to do. Other than that, keep searching the coast. Yeah, we're still looking for Ruby. That's true. So let's go back and do that. Well, but the thing is, let's just go outside first. The thing is, I believe I have a new check. A new, I think the check for kicking the metal thingy in there in the doomed commercial area, I think it has been renewed. Central furnace. You see what I mean? Like the white checks. These are white checks. Why is it renewed though? Let's just save out here. We can make it in there in a hurry. And the coming out, it's just reloading, because it doesn't actually. That's not even cheating, which it isn't, because reloading isn't cheating. But it's not even like you don't even save time because traveling doesn't cost time, which is lovely. I love it. So yeah, kicking this thing is what I'm thinking. Well, actually, it's screaming at it, I believe. Called Slipstream SCA again. That's why it unlocked. Okay, so I can yell in there, but if I'm gonna yell in there, I'm gonna have a better chance than that, because the last time... No, not that. Because the last time we did that, we had a pretty good chance. Where's my physical instrument? It's over there. So I think I have more physical instrument things on me. But I might be wrong on that. Visual calculus, pain threshold. Yeah, it's probably pain threshold. And definitely minus physical instrument. Our jacket already adds physical instrument, and I think, yeah, we're at maximum physical instrument at the moment, because what I remembered having is that particular jacket, or the tank top, but that tank top is not better than what I have. Okay, so let's roll the dice again. I'm doing this. We failed that how many times already? Just no. We're not failing that. And we took morale damage as well. I mean, something breaks loose in you. A mighty bellow echoes throughout the chimney's depths. The chatter of tiny voices above suddenly cease. You hear a woman's voice answer. You've awakened the entity. Hello, are you there? Speak to me.
Hello? Did you say anything? I can't hear you. Please come upstairs. There is a safety curtain on the second floor. I'll open it.
You hear a low rumble upstairs, the sound of a curtain being pulled aside. The lieutenant nods and then points upstairs. After you, officer. I can smear my hands with coal. Let's not do that, because I think I could do that already before. And I don't want to. So let's go upstairs. Second floor. Which means third floor, or it means first floor? Because what does second floor mean? Is what I don't know what it means. Anyway, also, where are we? We can zoom out. I have no idea where we're going. It means above, that's what it means, but... Yeah, this is where we heard the voices, right? That's the safety curtain. Is that the safety? It is! Oh, it's so pretty. This tray is full of dice, colorful polyhedral dice, hundreds of them. The candy disperser has been repurposed to contain thousands of dice. She's from the company that makes the game.
Hello, I'm Nia.
A bird-like woman sits on a throne of tools with emerald light shining through her hair.
Did you try knocking on my window? I must have missed you. I've been listening to my Melius.
She taps on her headphones.
So what kind of die are you looking for?
Could this be the malicious entity? Says our Inland Empire. Well, considering how Plaisance is, yes, she could very well be the malicious entity, because something that is malicious to that woman might be good. Perhaps it's wise to go along with this masquerade for now, says our Inland Empire. Shut up, Inland Empire, you know nothing. She's got a direct view of the backyard. You should interrogate her about the lynching. Well, actually, not so much about the lynching, but sure. Milieu. Hold on, what do you mean by milieu?
Yes, a milieu is like a calling station. You need a two-way radio to access one. That's why I have these.
She pats the headphones on the table.
Mostly, they just teach you to swear in different languages.
but some of the stations can be quite interesting. I was so absorbed, I must have missed you knocking.
Yeah, I don't remember knocking, but it has been a while. You must be, yeah, you must have me confused with someone else. I haven't knocked on your window.
Then how did you get inside? By the south entrance? You know what? It doesn't even matter. What matters is that you're finally here. Let's talk dice. Did you have something specific in mind?
Why are you asking me about dice?
I'm a novelty dice maker. Tell me the name of your role-playing system and I'll make the die you need. That's why you're here, yes?
Role-playing games, says our encyclopedia. You know the one made by Fortress Ancient? Does that count? I'm sure it does. Where's my die? There it is. I have a D60 in front of me, and it's the best die. Because it's good for everything. You can just roll one die, and it's good for everything. Did I talk about that before? In this Let's Play? Because I definitely talked about it in other Let's Plays. I ramble about my D60. Anyway, sure, I like role-playing games, and I need some dice.
Very good. My rate is 10 real per set, unless you want something really unusual. Take a look around and see if there is any particular stone you want to use.
The walls around her are covered with rows of precious stones and minerals. This actually shouldn't be precious, because precious is like diamond, and I believe ruby is precious. I believe sapphire is semi-precious, as well as topaz. I don't actually remember I don't know why the distinction, or how the distinction is made, but I remember reading it up on it. And specifically topaz, I remember being semi-precious rather than precious. But I think sapphire is semi-precious as well, because it's easy to find, or so, I'm not sure. It's definitely easy to make. You can make it. But anyway. This person means you, or no one else, absolutely no harm. Not no one else. Everyone else. Or anyone else. Absolutely no harm. She will answer freely and honestly, says our suggestion. No falsehoods are present, says our drama. She's a novelty dice maker and doesn't have anything to hide. Ask what you need. So what do you know about the man who was lynched behind the whirling in rags? Nothing, really. I didn't know him. Who cares about the dead body? We might be dealing with a malignant entity here, says our Inland Empire. The lieutenant looks at his notebook, then at the woman under the large window. Your window looks directly onto the courtyard. You're saying you didn't see or hear anything unusual last Sunday evening? I'm sorry, detective, but as you know, I usually have my headphones on when I'm working. It shuts out most of the daily ruckus behind my window. Yeah, it would. Potentially. Unless they're open back, which are the best headphones. Open back are the best. Not so much for recording. Like if I really crank them, well... If I really crank the volume in my microphones, you can... Because they are open back, you can hear them through the microphone. But that usually is not a problem, because you're listening to what I'm listening to. So it's like... It does get... If my voice is not timed correctly with the game engine... it can get a little bit of an echo going, which is interesting, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, they're not particularly the best for recording music, for example. If you want like to sing while listening to a song, or actually it's just to sing, because it's the only, well, I suppose drums, anything that uses a microphone for recording music, because if you have a synthesizer or electric guitar, stuff like that doesn't use a microphone, or doesn't have to use a microphone. So there's no contamination there. What do you mean by by the daily ruckus? Well, there's always something going on in the Whirling's backyard. She stops to try and come up with an example. During daytime, there are usually those kids, and lately I've been seeing a lot of drunk workers hanging about. Must be because of the strike. She's heard of the murder, but did not see it, sire, says our drama. She's not sorry to disappoint you, says our empathy. Informing on someone in a murder investigation would intrude upon her focused existence. She looks up at the window. Pale light comes in. She says, but I never saw anyone during that fateful Sunday night, I'm afraid. Do you often work Sunday nights? It's an odd profession, making dice for people, but I like it, and I prefer doing this to sitting at home. And you never took your eyes off the work to look out the window? I might have, she admits, but in this case, all I could have seen would have been my own reflection staring back from the darkness. It's really hard to make anything out in the yard when it's dark outside. Besides, I rarely get up to look out the window when I'm in the zone. The person values focus above all. She keeps her sharp sight on the instruments before her. I do wonder how she makes the dice. Because I follow a few dice makers, novelty dice makers, on Twitter. And as far as I know, it's molds. So I'm sure they have to work on the molds themselves, like maybe sculpt whatever the molds are going to be like, maybe by hand, I don't know. But the everything, like they're made out of acrylic, or they could be made out of different things, I suppose, but it's always molds, as far as I know. And then, of course, you need to polish them and do a bunch of other things, and paint them specifically, if they are meant to be painted. Which a lot of them are not, because if you've never seen novelty dice for role-playing games, you're in for a treat. Because some of them are just absolutely gorgeous, because they can be made with transparent acrylic. They can have like leaves inside. They can have like snowflakes, or like full-on sculptures inside, and it's some of the stuff is just absolutely amazing, just from a sheer just like not like, it's one thing to have nice colorful dice that you like with nice patterns, but it's another thing to have like a full sculpture inside. It's just that just sort of stuns me. It's not really something that I feel would be conducive to weighted die. But you can always weight them afterwards, I suppose, because a die will roll more towards one direction or the other depending on the weight distribution. So I suppose you need to balance that out after. But then again, they're so tiny that most of the balance is going to come from the shape itself rather than the weight. Maybe, I don't know. Thank you for the answers. She nods. Anything else, officer? Hey, where are we anyway? What is this place? We're inside the chimney of an old central furnace. It's strange, I know. She looks at the ruddy bricks that make up the walls. Even though they have been repainted, there are still signs of coal black soot here and there. She says, but when I arrived here, all the other rooms were taken, so I had to build myself a makeshift home. Besides, I don't really have to pay any rent here, so that's a plus. Also, how you built yourself a makeshift home, and you made this window? Making this window in a chimney would be a tremendous undertaking. You'd need to understand... You'd need to have a pretty good understanding of how bricks work. Because if you dig this hole... Like, this needs to be reinforced, for one, but just the fact of reinforcing it itself is going to be tricky, because you can bring the whole chimney crumbling if you remove such a big hole. Even a tiny hole might bring the whole chimney crumbling, and you'd be working on it. You'd die. This would be terrible. It's like, I would never do anything like this. Also because I have no idea about engineering, but, I say engineering, I mean civil engineering. Plaisance was right, says our Inland Empire. There's an entity living in the chimney. You should ask her about the curse. No, I'm not going to ask her about the curse. Well, actually, maybe I should ask her about the curse, because now I have a better understanding of what the curse might be. Kim says creative. He looks around in the spacious room, its ceiling fading into shadows above. When she arrived here, says our reaction speed, there was no room anywhere else. She must have known the other businesses. Yeah, I've heard, actually, do you know what happened to the other tenants? Everyone else is gone. More or less. She adjusts the yellow scarf that covers her hair. Are you interested in anyone specific? Oh, quite a lot of them spring to mind, says our logic. Well, maybe. Why would I be... I mean, are these all the ones, or some of the ones that we could ring outside on the building's intercom? What's with the rotor blades and skis? They were made by a company called Slipstream. After they pivoted from making rotor blades to skis, their chief executive took off on a vacation with all their money. She rests her chin on her hand with an impish smile. Honestly, I think it's quite funny. I think it's still sending out holiday transmissions from Tolola or Tio Mo Titi or Cached Core or whatever he is. Interesting. That's illegal, running off with companies' money like that. Why hasn't he been arrested? Sure, it's illegal, but it's not exactly anything extraordinary in business. Besides, Slipstream is history now. All their remaining assets got seized by the bailiffs in 47. I have no idea why the skis and blades are still lying around. They were just props, says our logic. Why return to them? Maybe you could make a sword out of one, says our interfacing. No, wait, forget it. It would take too long. It would take too long. I actually wanted to ask about the RPG making company. I found a strange machine, or found a room with a strange machine, maybe. Fortress Accident, the radio game studio. She closes her eyes as some remnant of a memory lights her face up. She liked them, says her empathy. Medium success, really, you need that much. They were an interesting bunch. We talked about role-playing systems every now and then. Once I saw 2 of them get into fisticuffs over We're All. They certainly took their work very seriously, even if they seemed to be chronically liberal with their schedules. What do you mean liberal? What happened? Well, it's called crunch. That's probably... Well, that is an interesting thing. I wonder how... I wonder if it fits. It feels like a commentary on the gaming industry of modern day. And I say of modern day, but I mean of real life. Because the gaming industry is chronically liberal with its gaming, or its work schedules. Because, you know, crunch is a huge problem. And also, game developers are underpaid in comparison to what they could be making elsewhere in the rest of the... this is all on average, obviously, in the rest of the industry, in other industries, I mean, and anyway. And it's also related, well, I don't know if the game is going to bring that up, but specifically in the gaming industry, the employers tend to exploit the fact that everybody wants to make games, and they say, you earned less, but you like it, and that's really scummy, and just bad, but it does happen, and that's why the averages go down. What do you mean liberal, though? The usual, they ran out of money and couldn't get the project done on time. Oh. That's a different thing. It makes more sense, I suppose. Yeah, it's just that that's the thing. You can think you can fit all the things in there, and it's just, the things take too long. And that's not a thing that just applies to gaming development. It applies to anything development. It just takes longer. It just always takes longer, because you can't foresee how long it's going to test. And even when you do foresee how long it's going to test, it still takes longer because you foresaw how long it was going to take. So you actually applied yourself in a different manner. Because the thing is, I speak this from personal experience, but not from making games myself, but from making websites. It works for websites as well. Like, if somebody asks you, I want you to make a page with a few images and something, and you say, okay, that's going to take 3 hours, because you know that you can make that in 3 hours. If you do it like that, you're not going to be done in 3 hours. Because while you can make it in 3 hours, you usually don't. You make it in more than that, because sometimes there's the unforeseen situations, and a lot of the times there are unforeseen consequences. So it takes 4 hours instead, or it takes 6 hours, most likely. So instead of you saying 3 hours, you say it's going to take 6 hours. But then you know you have 6 hours to accomplish something, so you actually work for those 6 hours. You start working and it's like, okay, I got 6 hours. It's not that you are slacking off, it's just that you're being more minutious and maybe more perfectionist with your work. So instead of taking 6 hours, it takes more. And it doesn't even matter if you're programming or if you're bug testing or if you're debugging, whatever it is, it's still going to be the same. It applies to everything, and it's sort of phenomenal. And I think only really experience has taught me that and how to deal with it's got a name, I don't know, it's like schedule bloat or whatever. It's not feature bloat or feature creep, although feature creep is related to this in development. But anyway, what went wrong? Well, I did hear them talking at times. She looks at the hallway as if she could still hear them chit-chat behind her curtains on a cigarette break. Which, again, did this happen before in this game? Why would they have to do a cigarette break? Is it illegal to smoke inside? Because the only reason we have cigarette breaks is because it is illegal to smoke inside, and that's something that's very weird. Looking at footage from even in the 70s and earlier, certainly, of people working, they would be smoking all the time because they smoked. Gross. But also because they smoked, and it's just they're working. I'm smoking. And that's just how it goes. She says, they seem to believe they were historical individuals on some grand quest. She sounds almost mocking when she says that, says our drama. From what I've seen so far, the project did look quite impressive. Yeah, but when the money started to run out, they just began to complain a lot about capitalism. You know, how the markets are rigged to keep out new businesses and so on. In the end, they just didn't get it done. They didn't have enough willpower to produce something truly historic and to show up to work on time. Showing up to work on time is overrated. unless you work on a big team, in which case it's just better because people are counting on you being there. Well, let's go with that. Showing up to work on time is incredibly hard. And so is producing something extraordinary. Her eyes wander to the shelves full of die prototypes and discarded models. Something strains her face before she looks up again. Anything else? Actually, I had other questions. Good. I hope it clarified things a bit. What else? Well, I'm gonna need to talk to her. I'm really glad that I came here. This is a really interesting room, and also she seems to be an interesting character that will deliver a lot of information about the setting. But for right now, I'm Colonel RPG, and this has been Disco Elysium. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and leave a comment, like the video if you want to see the next episode come out sooner rather than later, but above all, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.